Criminal Crow dislike. These are basically videos of things I dislike, so you might agree with them, might not. With that being said, let's see what today's topic is. Crow dislikes Big Apple Con Part 2. Oh, I didn't think I was going to make Part 2, but yes, I'm making Part 2 because I forgot two little important things about my last video. My last one was more of a comparing 2017 and 2018. This one, I'm aiming for two things that were just kind of terrible from Big Apple Con 2018, but it wasn't the convention. I'm not going to pick on the convention because it's not them. It's, well, the first one, but the second one is not really them. Now, the first thing I'm going to mention is the line, the waiting line. I should have just mentioned that right off the get-go like that, but I totally forgot. The line was kind of weird. For anybody who had their cell phone, I'm just going to pretend my DS is my cell phone. If you had your cell phone and you basically just popped it open and just show them the ticket you entered, and then you get to one side of the line. If you had a piece of paper, which I don't really have a piece of paper, if you had a piece of paper, you make another line. And then if you were buying your tickets, you were in the third line. Now the thing was, if you were buying your tickets, you went right through the line. I mean, wow. For anybody who didn't have a ticket and they just went to the door, got their ticket there, I mean, they were at the convention before the people who pre-ordered their tickets. I mean, that was kind of, huh? Shouldn't it be the opposite way? But I noticed this from another convention. Like, I'm gonna pick Anime Next for this topic because in Anime Next, I mean, people pre-order their tickets, and it's like they take half a football field. I'm just making an example, and then the line for the people who are buying the tickets is like going to McDonald's. Again, another example, but you could see the different comparisons of me putting it that way. And that's how it kind of was. I'm not saying it was a huge line, but it was kind of like that for Big Apple Con. I mean, if you had your phone, you waited longer than if you had the paper or the people who actually bought the ticket on the spot. I mean, if you were buying the ticket on the spot, as soon as you got in the line, you just basically go pay, and then that's it, you weren't in. People who had the paper instead had to wait behind the line, and they were letting like 3 or 4 people go at a time. And I'm like, wow. And then the cell phone people, there was only one person doing the cell phone. That I didn't understand. I mean, I will assume it was the same process from the cell phone and the people with the paper because they were trying to get the barcode within the paper and in the cell phone. Unless their tablet only scanned certain cell phones that, well, the screens of the cell phone, and the other one they were using, I don't know, like some other object that just scanned paper easily, or they were using a scanning gun and the scanning gun doesn't work on the phone. I don't know how the paper one worked. I didn't really notice it. I just realized how long the line was. I mean, I literally stood in the line for maybe about 10 minutes and there were like maybe around 10 people in front of me. So it was like a minute per person. And it was just like they only had one person doing the line. And that was just confusing to me. How do you have one person when you should know pre-orders kind of have more people, especially if you have a long list? Same goes for the paper. I mean, the paper people were pretty going fast, so I can't complain for them because they were just going through. And I appreciate the guy who was actually forming the line. I mean, the moment someone was paying cash, he would just throw you right into the person who was taking cash. And the only thing I'm going to say is next time that guy should have like a fake printout, so you could be like, if you have the paper, wait in this line. If you have your phone, and then he could take out his cell phone, you wait on this line, because he was doing that and he was just taking the paper from the people. He's like, just to demonstrate it, just to be like, paper here, cell phone here. But he did a good job. I can't complain. I just gotta complain about the line. Like, why was there such a long line for people who had pre-ordered the tickets instead of the people who paid cash or credit card? I don't know if they were sent in credit card, but that was just a minor little flaw, the waiting line. But the second one, this one, I am going to hit bigger, because the simple fact is, this, again, it was not Big Apple Con's fault. It was the vendor's fault. I mean, holy smacks, when you have vendors who are just the same like the other person, that sucks. I mean, everybody was selling comic books. Okay, that's cool. but your competition is everybody else. I mean, it was a room full of comic books. Again, I totally forgot to mention this in the last one, but this is why I'm mentioning it. It was just comic books. Pretty much every vendor at Big AppleCon was selling comic books. And the same thing happened last year. If I remember correctly, everybody sells comic books. Now, I've been to horror conventions. Yes, they promote more horror and they sell more horror, but there are other things you can get. Like, for example, my glasses from Monster Mania. Yes, one of them is from horror, which is Trick or Treat. Jack Sparrow is not horror. Gizmo, it kind of is, but he's a cute little critter. Godzilla is horror, but it's like a monster movie. Yeah, it's like a monster movie. And upstairs, my girlfriend has Jack Skellington and Sally. So, again, that's not horror. It kind of goes into horror, but it doesn't. You can actually get different types of glasses. That is pretty much not horror. But in Big AppleCon, it was pretty much just comic books. Comic books everywhere. The only people I noticed for vendors besides comic books was Leatherware, which was a guy who custom makes leather and he makes it into bracelets or belts. Pretty cool guy. I met him before, a long time ago, but yes, he was selling custom made leather that he made. The guy who sells the Vampire Fangs, I believe his was called I can't recall his name, but it's like a Vampire Freaks mashup with him. So there was him, and he was selling fangs. So that's different than comic books. Then the other third person was that I recall was the guy who was making Legos. When I saw him, I was just like nostalgia right there. Oh, cool. And he was building the Legos, and then he was selling them. Okay, awesome, dude. Good job. I didn't buy any from you because I just didn't want to. But the simple fact that you were different than everybody else. And there was a fourth person. I just can't recall now the fourth person. But there was a fourth person selling something different. I can't recall. But they were pretty much no figures. Like, let's just say Midtown Comics. Okay, you guys went. You guys do sell statues. Maybe you would have sold some at Big Apple instead of just having comic books, let's just say. I don't know if you guys were there, but I'm just picking you as an example because I've been to your store. I know what you guys sell. Shirts, stuff like that. They were basically no shirts. Anime Next has shirts. Video game shirts, anime shirts. Doesn't matter. Same goes for New Jersey HorrorCon and Monster Mania. They have shirts, different types of shirts. But in this convention, it was pure comic books. That's why I got out of this place very quickly because the vendors didn't attract me. I mean, one of the last conventions I went to, besides New Jersey HorrorCon, I was looking at Ninja Turtles figurines, and I was like, huh, and that wasn't horror, that was Ninja Turtles. Well, horror if it was real life, but still, the fact is that it was Ninja Turtles, and I'm like, oh, if I go to Chiller, rubber duckies, I don't think you guys can see it, but I have my rubber little duckies, a samurai and a cat. I mean, there were different items. It's just not, I'm competing with the same person in the next vendor. And then the next vendor is competing with the next vendor. And now all of us are competing because we're trying to sell comics, period. Sell figures, sell shirts, sell manga, that's different. Sell amiibos for all I care. Was there a vendor for amiibos? No, that was New Jersey HorrorCon. Sell posters, sell things that make you different. Please, people, if you vendors, for next year's Big AppleCon, if you guys decide to go, be different. Again, this is not Big AppleCon's fault. They're just set up, say, vendors, you want to come and buy your spot? Go right ahead. We're just going to sell it. But when it's all comic book, come on, people. You have to make an attraction. Look, I got some X-Men figurines. Look, I got some Assassin's Creed figurines from the collector's editions. Look, I got pop figures, which that was the other vendor. I'm not interested in pop figures, but there was a vendor just selling pop figures. Okay, he can attract people. And there was not that much. It was just 4 different that I recall. Because I was just looking, comic books, artists, comic book artists, comic book. The boring. Please, vendors, make yourself stand out for next year. Don't be like the rest of the competition. Be different. Yes, you can have your comic books, But be like, I got some toys, I got some cups. Who likes Doctor Strange cup? I have one. Who likes Mario Brothers cups? I have one. I'm different. I am getting customers, not I am being the same like everybody else. So yes, I did dislike that these two things from Big Apple Con. I'm not gonna blame Big Apple Con like crazy. It's not majority their fault, but I really did dislike a lot of things. With that being said, I got a special thanks to you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.